Hi class, welcome back. Now we are going to have another new lesson for today, and that is the Human Development Part 2. In our previous presentation, we were able to discuss the human development definition and also the different theories that relating to human development. And also, we were able to discuss the cognitive development according to John Piaget. Now, let's talk more about it or the different theories of human development in this presentation. Now, let's go to the next page. Alright, so like what I've mentioned in our previous presentation, there are a lot of theories relating in human development. Like in our previous presentation, we were able to discuss the cognitive aspect. Now let's talk about the moral development. Okay, so what is moral development? So according to Lawrence Kohlberg, Lawrence Kohlberg is the one who theorized the stages of moral development. So Lawrence Kohlberg's stages of moral development based on Piaget's ideas of cognitive development. So basically, Kohlberg based the ideas of moral development based on Piaget's, which again, Piaget is the one who theorized the cognitive development. Describe the development of moral thinking through stages of increasing maturity. So according to Kohlberg, the moral development can only be developed if one increases, Kohlberg, according to Kohlberg, moral thinking develops when one matures. So throughout lifespan, an individual moral thinking changes as long as it matures. But also, please take note that even though people get older every day, gets older every day, not all of them matures at the right time. Okay, so that's why other people says that experience makes you wiser. So a person who has a lot of experience can be wiser, but also that depends on that individual. So an individual who has a lot of experience may or may not learn something from those experiences. So that also depends. But in here, what Kohlberg is trying to say is that our moral thinking matures, develops as we go on maturity. All right. So again, that's different. Growing up and being mature is different. So other people can be older but not yet mature, or other people can be younger but are mature in some sense. So that depends. So according to Kohlberg, again, our moral thinking develops through stages according to depending on the maturity that we have, or our increasing maturity. All right, so to better explain more on this, I've got an image from Google that explains this in a much easier sense. Okay, so in here we have Kohlberg's levels of development. So we have here the 3 levels. So the first one would be the pre-conventional, the second is the conventional, and the last one is the post-conventional, which is the autonomous or principled. Okay, so let's go to it one by one. All right, so for the pre-conventional, actually, as you've noticed, in each levels there are 2 stages. Like for example, in pre-conventional there is stage 1 and 2, conventional 3 and 4, and then post-conventional we have 5 and 6. All right, so let's go to the pre-conventional stage 1 first. So in pre-conventional stage 1 in here, the characteristics of this stage is the punishment obedience orientation. Okay, so in here is if the child, all right, I'm sorry, this is the first level. The first level, and it focuses on children younger than 6. Okay, so that's 1 to 6 years old, or months to 6 years old. All right, so in here, I'm sorry, this is for the pre-conventional, stage 1 and 2. So in here, the child focuses on obeying the rules or to avoid obey the rules to avoid punishment. Okay, so that's why punishment obedience orientation. So it's whether they are going to obey the rules. If they obey the rules, they will avoid the punishment, or if they disobey the rules, they will have the punishment. So that's basically the focus of stage one. So in here, okay, in here, what the child is asked to obey, all right, or else they will be punished. All right, now let's go to stage two. So stage two is the instrumental relativist orientation. So in here, okay, so in here they have to conform to get rewards and to have favors returned. So in here, they have to follow, okay, they have to follow certain rules, or they have to follow orders to get specific rewards. That's why it's called instrumental relativist orientation. So there are instruments that they have to follow, and if they do, they will have a reward. So as you can see here, the first stage focuses on the punishment. So if they do not obey, they will receive a punishment. But in stage two, if they follow orders, or yes, if they follow orders, they will get a reward. All right, so that's for the pre-conventional. So that's stage one and stage two. So this is from months to 6 years old. Next, we have the conventional. So conventional, that's stage three. We have again two stages, stage three and stage four. So for the conventional stage, this is the second stage. I mean, the second level. It is from 7 to 11 years old. So in here we have the stage three, which focuses on the interpersonal concordance orientation, which is in here. They have this term, okay, because if it's an interpersonal, so it requires other people in here. They have term like good boy or good girl in here. Morality. So they have to conform to to avoid disapproval or dislike by others. So in here, the main idea is that if they will conform, if they do conform to others, so they will be termed as good boy or good girl. All right, so that's it. So the stage three, that is interpersonal concordance orientation. All right, and then we have stage four, which is the authority, social order, maintaining orientation. So in here, they have to conform to avoid censure by authorities. So in here, they have to follow the rules of the authorities, like for example the teacher, the principal, the school rules, the rules in the playground, the rules in the classroom, and many more. So there in here they are now familiar with the power of the authority, and they have to conform with it. So in here, that's why it is called the authority's social order maintaining orientation. All right, so again, that's conventional. And again, in conventional, this is the second level. It is from 7 to 11 years old. So we have the stage three, which is the interpersonal concordance orientation. Again, that focuses on the good boy or good girl, or morality. And then stage four, we have the authority, social order, maintaining orientation, which focuses on if the individual conforms to the authority. And then we have the last one, or the level three, which is the post-conventional, autonomous or principled. That is also have two stages, which is the stage five, which focuses on the social contract legalistic orientation, which focuses if the child conforms to maintain communities, emphasis on individual rights. So in here, oh, my apologies, that is 11 years old and up. Okay, so this level is 11 years old and up. So in here, they have to conform to maintain community. So that's why it's called the social contract, because they are now familiar with the community, the aspect of community. So in here, they have to conform on the rules and regulation of the community itself. All right. So like for example, going to the right comfort room. So for others, okay. So all right, so let's disregard other issues in here. But for example, female now knows that or for example, yes, a female person knows that the uh the right bathroom for them, for example, okay, so let's disregard other issues in here, knows that the female restroom is the one that they should use. Okay, so in here they are now familiar that there are certain rules that they have to conform in the community. Okay, like for example, in the classroom, so everyone has to be alphabetized according to their last name. So if they are letter B, so they have to go to the section where there are a lot of letter B in their last names. All right, so that's it. So that's why it's called the social contract legalistic orientation, because in here you're now familiaring and you are confirming to the to the to the community. And then the last one, stage 6. In here, it is the universal ethical principle orientation. So in here, the individual principles of conscience. All right. So in here, the individual, or the person now identifies and familiarize that each individuals have its principles and conscience, and also the here the person now realizes things if they do a morally right or wrong, and their conscience started to kick in. So basically that's it. So again, in here there are 3 levels according to Kohlberg's. We have the pre-conventional, which is from months to 6 years old. Okay, and then the conventional, which is 7 to 11 years old, and then the post-conventional, which is 11 years old and up. All right. So now let's proceed on the psychosexual development. So psychosexual development is actually famous, all right, because it is formulated by the one and only Sigmund Freud. Okay, so all right, so this is based from Freud's psychosexual stages, or the psychoanalytic. All right, so again, it is formulated by Sigmund Freud. All right, so and here observation and notes that he made about life histories of his mentally disturbed patients. So in our next lessons, we are going to talk about Sigmund Freud. But in here, the reason why this development is psychosexual development is formulated is because Sigmund Freud actually took out the life histories of his clients and our patients, and from there he was able to get specific patterns. Okay, so that's when he realized that, oh, there must be a psychosexual or a development coming from those things that are not and fixation or things that are not met on those specific stages. So that's why specific psychological disorders was able to appear. So in here, that's how he got the idea of the psychosexual development. And also Freud uses the hypnosis, free association, and dream analysis to further understand this psychosexual development. All right, so in here he indicated that we have goals or motives that must be satisfied in each psychosexual stages. All right, so later on I'll be showing you the stages of psychosexual stages, and then you'll see that each stage there should be something that is met, because if things are not met in those stages, fixation or fixation might occur. All right, so now let's go to the next page and talk more about it. All right, so in here we have the most simpler presentation of the psychosexual stages. So thanks to PsychPoint for this image. All right, so in here we have 5 stages according to Freud, the psychosexual stages. We have the oral, the anal, the phallic, latency, and genital. So all right, so let's go to it one by one. All right, So now let's start with the first one, which is the oral. So the oral stage starts at the from birth to 2 years old, and the oral erogenous zone is the mouth. So meaning when we say erogenous zone in psychosexual stages, it means this is the center of interest of the person or the child. Okay, so what happens in these stages? So in this stage, children derive pleasure from oral activities, including sucking and tasting. They like to put things in their mouth. So this is the stage that if you have an infant at home, you will probably notice this, that most of the children at this age uh, started to suck things, like for example sucking their thumbs. Oh, I'm not sure. Oh, not their thumb, because I believe infants usually at this age are still having a hard time with their motor skills, so not their thumb, but they often suck things. Like if they see something, they will probably try to suck it or eat it or anything or taste it. Okay, so that's according to Freud. Uh, that is the most erogenous zone. Okay, so people who are fixated at this point, or who are not satisfied or wasn't able to satisfy this at this age, or fixated, tends to smoke when they grew up. Okay, so that's what Freud notices or says. So that's their way of coping on stress. They will smoke because at this stage it was very crucial for them. All right, the next one we have the anal stage. So this is the from ages 2 years old to 3 years old, and the erogenous zone is the anus. So in here, children begin potty training. So in here, um, the child, the erogenous zone in here is their anus, uh, or their I'm sorry for the term, for the lack of term, or their butthole. Okay, so in here, children at this stage are asked, or are not asked, are they call this, are required. I forgot the right term, but are expected to have potty training. If they were able to go to the comfort room by themselves, they can poop at this at the right time, at the right place. Okay, in short, they were able to control their bowel. So at this age, people who got fixated at this age, when they grew up, people says that these people tends to be burara, or are the ones who oftentimes do not care about their surroundings, or either too malinis. I forgot the English term. Too malinis, or they are the ones who clean all the time. So if you are familiar with Monica of Friends, she was said to have this cleanliness at home. She likes to organize things a lot. So because of the anal stage. It's either their parents are to clean at them when they were still a child, and many more. All right, now let's go to the third one, which is the phallic stage. In here, the ages is from 3 years to 5 years old, and the erogenous zone is the genitals. All right, so in here, boys are more attracted to their mother, while girls are more attracted to their father. So in this stage, the phallic is the genitals, or this is our sex organs. Okay, so that's the erogenous zone. So in here, it was said that, excuse me, boys tends to be more attracted to their mother, and then the girls are attracted to their father. So we have the Oedipus complex when the child, or in this stage, if they are fixated, Oedipus complex when the child attracts, when the boy child is attracted to his mother, and then electric complex when the daughter is attracted to their father. All right, so that's the phallic stage. And then we also have the latency stage, which is 5 years to puberty. All right, so in here, children spend more time and interact mostly with same-sex peers. So in here, the erogenous zone is none because it focuses more on the interaction to other children. Okay, so in oh, my apologies, because in other contents, okay, so the phallic stage would be 3 to 6 years old, while the latency stage is from 6 to puberty. Okay, but in here, maybe we can just change this because that's already the phallic is already 3 to 5. Let's change the latency to 6 to puberty. Okay, so that's again, latency is 6 to puberty, and the erogenous zone is none, and it focuses more on the environment because children tends to interact more with their peers. So in here, people have now the idea of at least some of the things that they the things that they interact with, like for example, if the same sex, so if they interact with their same sex or not. Okay, and then we also have the last stage, which is the genital, which focuses on the ages from puberty through adulthood. In here, the erogenous zone is the potential sexual partners. So in here, individuals are attracted to opposite sex peers. So in here, this is the time where they are now getting attracted to the opposite sex. So that is the psychosexual stages of Sigmund Freud. So we have the oral, the anal, the phallic, latency, and the genital. Now let's go to the next page. All right. Okay, so now let's proceed to the psychosocial development. So the psychosocial development was actually inspired to the psychosexual development of Sigmund Freud. Okay, so in here it was developed by Erik Erikson. So Erik Erikson believes that our social interaction with others also helps us develop our personality. Because in Freud, it focuses more on that stages, the oral, anal, phallic, latency, and genitals. So I'm sorry, that's not in order, but he focuses more on that only. Okay, but in Erikson, he believes that that's not only limited in those stages. It can go further than that. So that's why Erikson, based from Freud's psychosexual stages, developed this psychosocial stages of development. So again, this is the Erikson psychosocial stages. So this psychosocial stages of development is based from Erik Erikson. So according to Erik Erikson, there are certain numbers of stages. These are the basic trust versus mistrust. That is from 0 months to 1 year old. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. That's 1 to 3 years old. Initiative versus guilt. That's 3 to 6 years old. Industry versus inferiority. That's 6 to puberty. Identity versus role confusion, that's adolescence. Intimacy versus isolation, that's young adulthood. Generativity versus stagnation, that's middle adulthood rather. And then integrity versus despair, that's late life. So let's go to it. All right, so here's a summary of the Erikson stages of psychosexual development. So in here we have at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stages of development. All right, so let's look at the first one. So we have here infancy. So that's again 0 to 1 years old. The conflict in here is if the child were able to develop a trust versus mistrust. So the resolution in here is or the virtue that they would get from here is that there is hope, and then the culmination in old age in here is that they have the tendency to have appreciation of interdependence and relatedness. So in here, the child during at this age is whether they receive the adequate attention from their mothers, okay? Because usually their mothers are the ones who give are the primary givers of them of food, food safety, security, and many more. So in this age, if the child weren't able to receive that specific care, love, and nourishment from the mother, they will develop a conflict of whether they are going to trust the mother or not. Because again, the mother are the first person that they will encounter in their whole lifestyle, their whole lifespan rather. So if there is trust, there is hope. They will believe that there is hope. So if there is if they were able to build that trust, they will appreciate the independence that they will have when they grow up. So for example, when we say interdependence, meaning they are independent by themselves, and working with others who are also independent will surely be fine with them. Okay, so that's it. Okay, so in infancy, during at this age, whether they receive the right nourishment, care, and security from their parents, they will have trust. Or others who don't, they will develop a mistrust. Okay, and also, just an addition, people who grew up with trust issues are said to have difficulty on this stage. All right. So, okay, so that's part of the theory of this one. Okay, so there are also other reasons why people don't trust quickly. All right. So that's infancy. The first one, 0 to 1 years old, basic trust versus mistrust. Next, let's go to the second one, which is the early childhood. That is from the ages 1 to 3 years old. So in here, um, whether the child will develop autonomy versus shame and doubt. Okay, that's and doubt in there. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. And the virtue that they will develop in here is the will to do things, will to do great stuffs by themselves. Okay, so at the old age, they were able to culminate from this stage is that the acceptance of the cycle of life, from integration to disintegration. So in here, the child will able to have this what they call this feeling of starting to be to uh, to stand up for themselves. Okay, so if the mother tends to keep on cheering on the child, like saying that you can do that, yes you can, all right, they will build this feeling of autonomy. But if the child are keep I mean if the child is uh getting scolded at most of the times because of their mistakes, they will have this feeling of shame and doubt whether they can do it or not. All right, so uh okay, so in that stage, the person develops the feeling whether they can do things in life. Okay, do things by themselves. All right, so that's the early childhood, 1 to 3 years old. The conflict in here is autonomy versus shame and doubt, and the virtue is will. Okay, now let's go to the third one, which is the play age. All right, so at the play age, we have the ages in here is 3 to 6 years old, and the conflict in here is the initiative versus guilt. All right, so and the virtue that they should develop in here is the purpose, and the at the old age they will able to have the humor, empathy, and resilience. So in here in this stage is the child would able to develop the initiative to do things on themselves without feeling guilty about it. Okay, and okay, so if the child is being encouraged to do things by themselves, like for example, when they do things and they get rewarded by doing those things, they will find that, hey, this must be my purpose. Oh, maybe I'm good at this. Or if they don't, they will feel this feeling of guilt. Hey, I can't do this. Maybe I'm not good enough. Right? So these are the things that the child could develop in the future. That's why at the old age, um, it says here that humor, empathy, and resilience are being developed, is because and this time, whether they when they do things on their own, whether they got rewarded or feeling or not at it. Okay, so that's why if ever in the future, if this child grew up and wasn't able to resolve a conflict in life, they would have a low resilience, and they will keep on asking themselves, I'm not good enough. Hey, I can't do this. All right. So that's the initiative versus guilt. All right. So now let's continue to the school age, which is 6 to 12 years old, that's industry versus inferiority. In here, the virtue is competence, and the culmination in old age would be humility, acceptance of the course of one's life, and unfulfilled hopes. So in here, during this age, where the child goes now to school, mingle with his or her classmate, the question is if the child was able to go or to conform with the environment. Because if like for example, most of the class uh, in class they were able to perform in a good side, in a good grades, give good grades, while okay, good grades, or uh, they would be tagged as the low performers in class. All right, so in here the focus is whether they are in the they were developed industry, or conform with being competitive, uh, and many more, versus feeling of, hey, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, they are all great, and I'm not. Okay, so that's industry versus inferiority. In here, the virtue of competence with themselves are being developed. So since they realize that in old age they will find that humility, acceptance of the things that they can and can't get, well, they will realize all of that. So that's school age, 6 to 12 years old, industry versus inferiority. Next, we have the adolescence. So that's 12 to 19 years old. That is identity versus confusion or role confusion. Okay, so in here, the virtue is fidelity. The culmination in old age would be the sense of complexity of life, merging of sensory, logical, and aesthetic perception. So in here, during the adolescence, 12 to 19 years old, these are the times when the individual realizes his or her identity. Like for example, hey, I'm a female and I like guys. Hey, I'm a man and I also like a man. Or I am a female and also like girls. Okay, so in this time, these are the time crucial time for a lot of teens, that they realize what they or who they are attracted to. All right, so that's why it is identity versus role confusion. What role are they going to enact in the society? And the virtue in here is fidelity. All right. So next we have the early adulthood. So that's 20 to 25 years old. This is the intimacy versus isolation. So the virtue in here is love, and the culmination in old age would be the sense of complexity of relationships, value of tenderness, and loving freely. So in here, this is the time where the person starts to looking in a committed relationship, or sometimes others are getting married at this time. Okay, so intimacy, if they were able to develop good relationships with someone or their partner. Isolation, when they're feeling that, hey, I'm forever single, I will not find someone, and many more. All right, so in here the virtue of love develops. All right, and then we have the adulthood, which is the 26 to 64 years old. So that is generativity versus stagnation, which is the virtue in here is care. So the combination of old age is the kairos, caring for others, and agape, empathy rather, and concern. So here in adulthood, this is 26 to 64 years old. This is the time when most of the individuals got married, and also have children of their own. So in here, because the focus is whether they're going to have a family of their own, or they will be just stagnant or be by themselves forever. All right, so in here, the virtue of caring for others, specifically for their children or their partner, develops at this stage. And then the last one, we have the old age, which is the 65 until death. So in here, the virtue is, I'm sorry, not the virtue, but the conflict in here is integrity versus despair. So the virtue in here is wisdom. The culmination in old age would be the existential identity, a sense of integrity strong enough to withstand physical disintegration. In here, in the old age, since it's already 65 to that, the question would be is that, did I live a good life? All right. Am I a good parent? Am I a good mom? Am I a good dad? Am I a good son or daughter to my parents? Okay, so that's integrity versus despair. So if they do not feel much about it, they will of course feel despair. And at this age, they will develop the wisdom in here. Okay, and and with that, if ever in case something happens, they already accept their fate. Okay, so others feel that, hey, I've already live a good life, I'm ready to go now. But in others, hey, I can't accept this. I haven't lived a good life yet. So they are afraid of getting sick and many more. All right. So basically, that's it. The Erickson's psychosocial stages of development. So we have the infancy, the early childhood, play age, school age, adolescence, early adulthood. All right. So that's the last part of our presentation. So if you have any questions, please let me know at the comment section below, or you can chat me at our messenger chat group. So thank you very much, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.